Today, you're gonna watch me build a full business OS inside Claude Code. I'm going to start completely from scratch without any templates or pre-built setup, all the way to having a complete system that knows your business, manages your clients, and runs operations for you. And I'm going to do all of that live and walk you through every single decision I make, such as why I structure folder in a specific way, how do I create context files, and how I think about the building tools. So after this video, you will be able to build your own business OS for whatever your business actually needs, because you are going to see every single file that I create, every single decision that I make, and every single mistake that I do along the way. Let's get into it. Okay, let's get started. So my full idea right now is to set up a full cold email OS system. This could either be a system that could be used by a lead generation agency or a system that you can potentially use to create cold emails for yourself. So to have something like that, we will need a couple of features to the system itself. So first off, it would be important to actually define what are those features. So we want the system to be able to gather leads. We want the system to be able to create personalizations, and then we want the system to be able to create copy, let's say according to best practices. And then we also want the system to create campaigns and send leads to campaign. And then here, let's also mention a couple of things: start campaigns, pause campaigns. So create campaigns, send campaigns, and generate reporting for cold email campaigns. Okay, so those are a few things. Now on this side, right now I'm only bothering about a few elements. There is gonna be also like the setup element that you can include within this process if you really wanted to. But yeah, I don't think it's really that useful here. I think what is mostly useful is these elements here, as well as maybe an additional element will be like foundational work for cold email. So this would be like offer design. This could be something like essentially everything that you need to do in order to craft an offer and in order to create the copy for like a campaign. So this, yeah, could be in the create copy part, but is mostly a is mostly a thing that is helpful to the create copy. So those are the features that we want to create. Okay, just to set the record straight. Now let's start to create a little bit of the structure itself of the folders. I generally go about creating three main folders on my side. So I really like this kind of approach where we have the .cloud folder, which is everything related to skills, commands, all the different things that we're gonna create within Claude Code will go there. Context is anything that is the context of your own specific business, and then workspace will be the kind of operations that you will do within the workspace itself. So in here, what we can have is we can have clients, and then within clients, like for this specific case, let's say that we have client A, and then within client A, we could have something like campaigns, could have something like reports, and then we could have something like, let's say, leads. Simple as that. So, okay, the first step for this system will be to actually define two things. So, will be to define the context first. So, the context is what are the foundational files that we need to have within the system. So, in order to do that, what you can do is you can open Claude Code, and then you can ask Claude Code something like, hey there, I'm building out a system for a cold email agency. I already started to map out all the different steps of the process and all the different elements that I would like to build within the system. But right now, I'm mostly interested in building out the context. So, what could be some foundational files that every single skill, every single part of the workspace might have access to when it comes to when it comes to context. Can you map those out, and can you map what those files would be, just to have a reference? And then after that, ask me as many questions as you want in order to actually define those specific files. So the process that I go about here is something that is called context gathering. So the idea of the process is I let the system ask me as many questions as possible. So let Claude Code ask me questions. And through those questions, Claude Code is capable of creating context files about my business. So those could be different kinds of documents. Those could be documents about, for example, what is my ICP. So an ICP could be the first kind of oh, let me yeah, ICP would be like first document. Then we would have something like offer, another document. We will have like general business info. So those could be examples of foundational documents. Okay, so check here. We have the different documents that were created by the system itself. We have agency profile, cold email playbook, copywriting frameworks, compliance tech stack, glossary, and then we have like templates that are on a per client basis. So what is the client itself, or what is the ICP related to the client, and then what is the offer related to the client. So I think this really helps with this system for, let's say this is for my own age, this is for an hybrid, so using myself and plan to sell it, license it. Here, which sending platform are you using? For me, I will stick with SmartLead because that is the one that I like the most. Lead tools, we will use Prospeo for database and AP5 for enrichment. Yeah, AP5 for enrichment slash lead sourcing. Copy maturity. Do you have a proven copywriting framework that work, or are you starting from scratch? So on this side, what I want to do is instead of actually using something that is present or that I have myself, I actually want to find something that is available on the web. So I think this is an additional lesson that we can add over here, but is how you can take context from YouTube videos about like different people that talk about these different things, and how we can actually use those, for example. So here we can say, I don't have anything ready in this instance, but my goal would be to actually take some of the work from other people and create some framework on that. So leave that as a second layer that we will focus on later on. Okay, so yeah, now we go on and then finish the context gathering part. So here will ask me a couple of additional questions. I will say context should we store in the context folder, and then every single client will have his own specific context related to the different information that we need to have within our system. So essentially ICP, offer, and then yeah, and then those general information about the business that we can use to actually find out um, proven copy frameworks that work for them, or other different things like that. So I think like also here when it comes to creating the system itself, it's great to actually like speak out the different parts. So let's say that we work with professional agencies. Here it mentions like the different companies. Let's say that we target mostly US. CRM. Let's use Atio, since I already have like a Atio CRM already defined over here. Yeah, let's keep it generic for the moment. Client structure. How do you want the client structure folders to work? Each client gets copy of ICP offer and profile specifically filled for them. Yeah, copy templates in. For cold email playbook, do you have specific sending rules you already follow? I would like to find out what are the best practice looking online, and we can use those as specific things. So yeah, in this instance, I want to also show you how is it actually possible not only to take the specific best practices that you have for your own business, but if you really wanted to and get some valuable insights from top leaders in the market, you can even do that if you really wanted to. Okay, so this is like the first version that comes from the planning. I personally think we can add additional context over here. Maybe I forgot something. For the tech stack, I will also like to add the open router when we need to create AI personalized messages. So yeah, in that way, we can actually have that as a context. Other than that, what do we need? I think that's helpful. Also, it will update the cloud.md file and will actually create that. For the research, I will take care of the research myself in another section. Okay, and then also let's add this comment here for open router so that we can iterate on this. And then let's iterate on this. And right now, what we can actually do is we can start to work on one thing. We can start to add a system folder. So in here, we can have something that is like a backlog. So if we have specific things that we need to do that are generalized, we can add those over here. And right now we can get started and we can work on the specific research part. So for the research part, wanna show you what I was thinking about. So we can go on YouTube, and then I have a couple of people that I follow related to cold email. One of them is Jordan Crawford, and I think Jordan is really, really good when it comes to copywriting. And so, what we can do in this specific instance is we can take the channel of Jordan and then go to Claude Code and say, hey there, so I'd like to improve my actual system here, and in order to improve that, I would like to use the different videos that Jordan has on his channel related to different copywriting techniques that we can apply, so that we can actually create a bank of context that we can use in order to create our own specific skills. So what I would like you to do is please look at the YouTube for Jordan, and then find the top 10 most relevant videos when it comes to copywriting. Take those videos, extract the transcript, and then from the transcript, create some valuable documents that would outline the different philosophy of Jordan when it comes to copywriting and creating copywriting for different brands and different businesses. And let's build that out. So in this instance, my actual goal is to, as I mentioned before, to take some context and actually add this context to the system so that we can find that and we can improve the system as a whole in the future. So this is how you can take stuff from other people, add that to the system, work through that. So I think also here we'll probably need a docs folder so that we can have all general relevant working file within there. And then after that, we can have this second task running. In the meantime, let's have a quick look at what was built over here. So in here we had very general agency profile with different information. Right now, nothing was actually compiled in the best possible way. Let's say over here also we have like can spam act. I don't think this is super relevant to what we are building out, but yeah, having something right now still works. Okay, so while we have these two parts that are starting to run, what I like to focus on right now is I like to focus on the tech stack. So we started building that. We started building that for two different things, for SmartLead one and then for Prospeo as a tool. So what we will need to do here is we will need to enable our system to use the different tools that we have within our tech stack. So right now I chose those specific tools for a couple of specific reasons. So Epify as a full tooling that we can install. SmartLead, same. So let's search for SmartLead CLI in this specific case. Okay, so this is present also over here. And what I want to do right now is I want to enable our specific system to actually run the different tools that we have for ourselves. So in order to do that, what I will do is I will build the specific skills. So right now, I see that there is already a tool that is already a CLI. A CLI is basically a command line interface, which is a tool that any AI agent can use and can run in order to do specific operations within a tool. And the real biggest advantage of using a CLI over an API or something like that is that we can create a specific skill, a specific document that explains how this tool can actually be used, so that the AI agent can actually use this in a free format matter without any single problem. So right now our goal is to actually build out different skills for our Claude Code cold email system. More specifically, what we want to build out is the different tools in the tech stack. So the idea here will be to build out tools such as SmartLead, a SmartLead CLI, a Prospeo CLI, an Apify CLI, Attio CLI, Open Router CLI, yeah, and that's pretty much it. Now, those will be created as Claude Code skills. So the CLI is just a general component that sits before the skill for the skill to be actually used here and for the skill to actually access the different files that we will have available. So yeah, I will give you also a couple of links that we can use in order to create a few skills for our specific system. Okay, so Prospeo CLI, and then let's go back to Chrome here and search Prospeo CLI. And yeah, we can find it also on GitHub, Prospeo CLI, and then SmartLead CLI. Right now, some of these tools are not things that are official tools. So those are essentially unofficial ones. But the idea of a CLI is if a tool has an API is basically a way to program the tool, a way to send over a URL and perform actions through a specific URL. The CLI is the same thing, but it can be run through a command line through your computer. And since AI agents are very good at running command lines programs, it's nice to transform any API that we have ourselves into CLIs that AI agent can actually use. So in here, I will mention this choose SmartLead, and then let's also search whether there is Attio CLI. Attio community. So there's one there is created. By the way, what I do always is I will give out some links and then I will ask to reformat those for my own specific needs and to rebuild those within my system. I don't want to use any external thing. I want to make sure that we get an understanding internally of what we are building. And so that is the actual goal that we have here. So Open Router CLI as well. How to end code CLI with Open Router. So let's search GitHub Open Router CLI. Okay, yeah, probably will need to be modified, but yeah, let's do that. Oops. Okay, so did we have something else? Prospeo Apify CLI. For all of those, not rely on this specific CLIs, but build our own version of the CLI in Python and then wrap a skill on top of that so that we can actually use those in any kind of instance in our own specific use case. Use the meta builder in order to build this specific set of skills for AI agents. Okay, so yeah, our goal right now is let's leave the system building, and then here the system right now got a few videos. So let me check what was mentioned. Yeah, as a scaffolder framework with playbooks agency provide, but not actual copywriting philosophy or methodology. Okay, so I want to extract these core copywriting frameworks to build reusable knowledge base that can inform skills, template, and email copy within this system. Okay, this is very, very good. So, okay, so we will extract the transcripts for this specific set of videos. Then we will synthesize those into knowledge document. Okay, that's perfect. So we will have these different kind of documents, pain-based messaging, email structure and sequences, offer construction, Jordan philosophy. Okay, okay, that's quite nice. So I will run this, and this is so powerful because any kind of tutorial, any kind of thing that is mentioned around the web related to like videos or related to how to execute a specific process, you can take that process and then you can add that within your system in order to start using that. So I would like to do something similar here also for offers. So we can go online here, same thing. So youtube.com, we can say like offer building offers for cold email, for example. Yeah, we can find some specific videos related to that. So yeah, personally I would use like Eric offers. Yeah, and then we can do the same thing with Eric. This is another person that is very good in the copywriting space. So I like to also build out the context that is related to offers within my system itself that will be later on used for templates, that will be later on used for other different stuff as well when it comes to creating offers and fine tuning offers to be sure that they can be used for cold email traffic. So I think this channel that I sent over could be a valuable channel. Essentially, the goal that I have will be to do something similar to what we did with Blueprint GTM. So the idea is within the context itself, we will create a new folder called offers, and within this folder we will add a specific set of offer principles that we always use. In here I sent you over a video, and then another thing that I would like to send you over is a book maybe, and you can have a look at that. So let's also yeah, use this video here. I think that is also very useful. Offers by Alex Hormozy. In the YouTube channel, there will be 10 plus videos on offers. Choose the best ones. Also, let's look again, like just offers, and let's see if there is something else here that we can use. No, I think yeah, that generally works. So yeah, let's use that and let's run that. Okay, so in the meantime, we had a response back on the plan for the different CLIs here. So let me read that. Right now we have documentation only. The tech stack integrates 5 tools, and we need the CLI for that, wrapped by Claude Code skills. We have an existing Atio skill. Okay. So here it seems that this is not actually what I wanted. So let's recreate that. No, the idea that I had over here would be that every single skill is self-contained. So what that actually means is that every single skill has within itself all the scripts, all the different things that are needed to actually execute that specific skill. So if you want to, what you can do is you can build a specific templates for the like the way the actual scripts is created in terms of like the APIs and then the basic APIs structure for specific things, such as like recalling an API multiple times, handling errors, all these different things, so that we have better visibility for AI agents. But ideally here, I don't want to have specific folders. I want to have a skill folder, and then within the skill itself, we will have the specific skill.md, a scripts folder, and then within the scripts folder, we would have the actual CLI. And then keep in mind that we need to use the meta builder in order to build these specific skills. So yeah, I'm mentioning here the meta builder. The meta builder, just so you know, is a specific tool that I developed. I also made a video related to that you can check out. And essentially, it's a tool that helps build these specific skills within Claude Code. Those skills could be, like in this case, skills that enable me to actually access specific tools, but we can also chain different tools together, chain different processes together, and we will see how to do that in in a few minutes. Okay, amazing. We have a response back for the various skills. Perfect. Yeah, in here you mentioned like what are the specific things that are actually needed. Campaign list, campaign create, leads add, sequences, performance. Okay. Um, yeah, we can mention just making sure that you add every single skill to the system, and make sure that you use a specific formatting that is consistent. And yeah, other than that, we can run everything. Um, this is just because I don't like there are too many names here. I think it's not a big problem. It's like more of a problem with myself. But yeah, yeah. Let's see what it does. Is like a very random indication. But other than that, we can add pretty much everything here. Yeah. So yeah, let's wait for that, and then let's actually test this out and see what is the structure looking like. And then we also have new things on the offer. You mentioned send you over a book. You can check the YouTube video that I sent you. The YouTube video essentially has the full book, so you can check on that, and you can extract the script, and from the script you can create the specific mechanics related to the different parts of offering. So yeah, that is that. We have output location, context offer. So yeah, let's add that. In here we finish this part. In here it's being finished. So let me check a few things. Pain based messaging target by pain, not persona. Traditional outputs target by persona. This is about seller assumption might buy. Pain based messaging flip this. You find prospect who are demonstrably experiencing a specific problem right now, and you describe that problem back to them. Okay, 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 okay. Yeah, really, really like this specific copywriting technique. So yes. Okay, CLI commands. Let me finish reading this. Okay, so yeah, this seems to be ready. So let's actually create this. For offers, offer principal knowledge base. Essentially, the full work that I need to do over here is just setting up a lot of context, as you can see here, across a wide range of different bases. So context OS needs a structured knowledge base. Those are the sources. Okay, we extract the book itself. We scrape the channel for a video list. Yeah, we have a few skills that are added that are user level on my side that simplify the work. So that is also why we have yeah, different things like that. Yeah, so just a few comments. I don't want to save the no, wait, this is yeah, we have this system folder, and this is so cool because it saves the research within the system folders. Okay, filter for offer related videos. Yeah, we use LLM scoring. Okay, let's remove this part. Don't need to use. No, wait, those are like probably those are specific scripts that I used in the past to actually run the extraction pipeline. Um, I'm not sure whether this is actually needed, but let's mention that. There's no need to actually use like previous scripts that were created. The like I think you did good with what you created before with Blueprint GTM, and so use that for as a reference for yeah, the way to actually get the different elements. I think you got the transcript, and then from the transcript you unify the different elements of the transcript to create everything. So yes, yeah, just double check on this side so that it runs. In this, it finished everything. Also here we have the different transcripts created and added, which is nice. And in here, we are starting to create the various skills right now. So yeah, on this instance, I think we can also get started and we can run everything here, and then we can close this off. Now, I want to open this back again because as you notice over here, what we are doing is we are gathering context not only specific to our business, but also specific to some process that we are running, even if we don't have context internal to those processes ourselves. Now, the reason why we are doing that is that the agent, the like all the different agents such as Claude Code, is able to read these files that we create. So Claude Code as is very powerful because what it can do is it can actually think, it can read files, and then it can act, and then it runs all of these three activities in a loop. So that actually means that if something is wrong in the part related to action, it could go back and fix itself, and different things like that. So the focus right now that we have when like creating all these different things that we created is mostly on the reading part, because the reading that we are doing is so that we are able to create better skills and better processes in the future. So if for example we want to have a specific system that is able to create offers for a client, let's say that we want a system that based on a website create an offering for cold email. Now if we have this goal over here for ourselves, and we want to create something that would be able to create something like this, the goal is how do we give the AI the needed context in order to do the best possible job. That is our actual goal over here, is making sure that we give to the AI all the different elements it needs to create the best possible outcome that we want. So in this case, it could be, okay, we have different offer documents. So let's read when this process is executed, the system ideally will check the website, then it will check the offers context files. So this is essentially reading those files, and then the system will try to see how we can actually turn what you took from the website into a valuable offering. This is like in a simplified way the process that we want the AI to make. This is like for offering, but we want the same process to be applied throughout any single area of the business. Okay, so the two things are finishing up right now. The offer principles on one side. So I created full documents here that take from the different things that are present both in the videos as well as in the book itself. So as you can see here, actually created this document. This is like super good document. It mentioned, okay, this is the value equation. This is like what a grams offer looks like. What is the difference between AI generating personalization and offer? It mentioned that AI, the offer is better than personalizing using AI. and then like all a bunch of different things specific to like creating an actual offer in a correct way. So yeah, lots of stuff over here. And then on this side, it created the full self-contained skills, and we actually want to test those out. So let's start with that. So and test these specific things out. Can you help me set those up? Let's wait for a response from the system. Okay, so I mentioned the first step is getting your API key into that .env file. Let me check what's there now. So the .env file is essentially the file where all your API keys will be actually stored. So in this specific case, there's no file on that side, and yeah, in this case, I'll say yes, I have all the keys, and then I can either paste the API keys here, or I can copy those into the .env file. So in my case, what I will do is I'll copy those into the .env file, and yeah, let's just go here and add the keys directly here. Okay, so API keys were added right now, and so what we can do if we want to right now is we can use and we can run a test. So in here, I can say something like, "Hey, please use the SmartLead skill to list the campaigns which are currently blocked or paused, so that we can have a look at that." Okay, so yeah, here's a very simple example of how you can actually use a skill. The system will actually check how the skill can be used. It will see here that there are some errors, for example, that are happening here. It will check on everything, and then it will run the system itself. And another cool thing about that is if he has any kind of problem, the system will figure it out by itself. So okay, here mention there are some issues, but it's not fixed. So yeah, right now the system will need to fix everything, and he started to fix this. As you can see here, it checks also for the other skills that have the same bug, and then yeah, we will do the editing for all of this at the same time. So yeah, right now we got the response back. The system had to go a little bit back and forth and had to fix a couple of things, but yeah, the beauty about this kind of thing is that the system can fix things for itself. So here we have the different campaigns. We also fixed the script on different parts, and yeah, all of that is quite good. Now, on the flip side, another thing that I was working on is an actual pipeline map. So the idea here is to actually help us understand what are the specific sub processes that we need to embed within the system itself. So here, those are the different processes, and then what we are looking for here is just actually having this document as a reference for us to build everything up. So let's actually run this so that it creates the specific pipelines. And then what we can do with that is we can use that document as a reference for us to actually work and create the additional elements here. Because right now we went through two phases. We went through the context gathering phase. We went through the second phase, which was the connecting tools phase, and then right now we are in the third phase, which is the exciting one, which is agentic pipelines building phase. So in this part, what we are actually doing is we are taking the two things that we created before, the context and then tools, and then add those into specific agentic pipelines that we can run ourselves within the system. And so yeah, let's see what are the different pipelines that we could run, and let's decide on which one to focus on to start off. Okay, so the pipeline map is actually finished, and this will be our last step over here. So in here, what we are looking at is how all the different systems connect together essentially. So let me show you this in a bigger screen. So in here we have the full system overview and what will happen throughout the system. We have a first part, which is the onboarding part. Within the onboarding, what we are actually doing is we are setting up the client context, the ICP, the offer, and then the infrastructure. In this specific instance, I haven't focused on infrastructure, but that is still a topic and a very important topic to also mention. Then other processes is like searching the leads within the database, doing some scraping from LinkedIn, using Google Maps, using intent or job posting, using PvP. And then here what we have is like verification, and then we have campaign building and launching, plus all the other steps in the future. In here, what we can have is we have micro pipelines. So think about this document as a document that is really helpful right now for actually understanding what do we need to build within our system itself. Verify and enrich the leads, then generate personalized copy, and then sync lead to CRM, campaign health check. Okay, and then we have the specific pipelines. Okay, so this is amazing, I would say. So let's take this pipeline map, and what we can say here is let's start to build out the different components of the pipeline map, starting with client onboarding. This will be a skill built using the meta builder. Ideally, from here we would have two versions of this. So we would have a version where we can just use the website URL of a company, and then a version where we can actually pass over a set of information, and then the specific person within the team will give us back the information on that. So yeah, so that is what I want to have. Also, I think over here what it could be helpful as well would be if we are able to actually implement a tally as well, tally.so as a skill itself for the system. So build the CLI for tally, and then build the skill for tally, because we want to create forms on demand within the system itself as well. This is like not a priority, but like still something that I would like to happen here. And yeah, in here, few things that I'm noticing here is ICP definition doesn't need to use open router. Offer definition doesn't need to use open router. Title and keyword mapping, again, doesn't need to use open router. All this specific information can be done using Claude Code as the brain. The open router will only be used when it comes to processing leads and like personalization and like personalization pipelines, those different things like that. In here, a few things regarding the client onboarding. Let's remove all the part related to ATIO because that is not relevant for this specific deal. And regarding domain and infrastructure setup, let's also remove that, and let's remove the warm-up part. Let's make sure that the client onboarding is just focused on creating the full set of files that is actually helpful for us. Few things to keep in mind is like yeah, like two forms. One form is just with a website, and then the second form is by sending over specific questions and by looking at the form that a client actually sends us back. Yeah. So yeah, this is an idea of what would be the the pipeline, the first pipeline. And then in the meantime, let's also start to build out a few other pipelines. So in here we have the database search. I would consider this part of the the pipeline itself. So I would like to build a new pipeline, which will be a full pipeline to actually build out cold email campaigns. So this will be a fairly complex one. In order to build this one, there will be multiple steps. So the first step will actually be to build out the campaign structure. So the campaign structure part will be mostly focused on um, understanding whether we have multiple ICPs from the client and understanding which is the kind of ICP that we want to select for the campaign. That will be the starting point. Then from there, what we will focus on copy creation. We will focus on copy creation. Here we could have two modes. We could have a mode that is like copy creation, just unpersonalized, meaning like simplified, no need to add personalized variables. And then on the flip side, we could also have a AI personalized version. The copy will be the first part because the copy will be needed for us in order to understand what is the set of leads that we are looking at and what is the personalization pipeline that we will need to run. So this will be the first focus and the first building block that we will work on the like campaign building side of things. I would consider this to be like more of a campaign structuring. So like the initial phase to actually building out the campaign is more about like could be two skills probably. One would be the campaign structuring part, which would be who are we targeting, what is the kind of offering that we have, what is the type of angle that we are using, and then the copywriting skill. But ideally, probably we can keep everything within the same system. So yeah, what I'm doing right now on my goal is actually building out the different pipelines. In my mind, I have an idea of what those pipelines look like, and then in here also the different pipelines have been actually defined by the system itself. My job is just understanding what is mentioned by the system and then seeing whether we need to modify some specific pipelines over here. Okay, so another important skill that I would like to have within the system itself will be a syntax skill. So the syntax skill will be responsible for actually taking the copy that we created and then generating syntax variation. Feel free to do a in-depth search on what is syntax variation, and let's create a specific skill for that part. So yeah, right now the goal is building out the different elements one after the other. So the starting point here was on like the client onboarding, and then after the client onboarding, and then after the client onboarding, we will have like how do we create campaigns. So let's call like campaign creation, and then we would have something like syntax. Okay, in this instance, this last one is not properly like a pipeline, but is more like a single element that we are creating. And so this will be part of the campaign creation pipeline. So you can think of pipelines as like campaign creation is made up of for example, campaign ideation. So like the initial step of creating the campaign would made up of like creating email sequences, and then it is made up of like finding the leads, and then we can have like creating, adding AI per personalization. Not sure whether that is needed all the time, but yeah, that is that. And then finally, like creating campaign on SmartLead plus adding leads on campaign. Yeah, and then there is like this syntax, which is probably on in this part over here. So this is part. So yeah, the way I organize these elements is I have a main skill. So this is something that I call an orchestration skill. And then I have sub skills related to different parts of the process. In this case, I think that a couple of them can go together, and then we can check on those and then test those and see what is the result looking like afterwards. So right now we have the planning for the onboarding. So let's see what is the plan looking like here and see whether it's specifically created in some way. So yeah, one thing that I notice here is use the meta builder skill present at the user level. Regarding the meta builder skill, there's a video on my channel specifically related on how you can actually build that. Okay, U2 modes. Okay, what we are building. Yeah, essentially the meta builder skill. I'm just pointing out to using the meta builder skill because the way Claude Code generally builds skills is it builds skills in the following format as you see over here, where you have the folder and then you have a skill.md file, and then it cramps everything within this single skill.md file. Meanwhile, the way that I design the skills and the way I want the skills to actually be created is to have a different kind of formatting where we have like the skill name, which is the folder, and then within the folder you have like the skill.md. And keep in mind that the skill.md is the main file, the most important file for skills. And then I have a modules folder, and then within the modules folder we have specific subsets of the skill. So for example, the client onboarding, let's call this client onboarding. We have the skill.md, which is the main file, and then we have different modules within there. And those modules could be, for example, how you create the ICP section of the skill. We can have a section on offers, for example. And in this way, you can actually add more nuisance to every single part. So the skill.md becomes a file that has all the different elements added within. So we can say run this specific process. First off, check modules icp.md in order to run the process to create the ICPs. Then run offers.md in order to run that specific process. And that is the reason why we have a specific structure like that. Yeah, in here we have a syntax. There's no need to use LLM generation for this. We can just use a plain skill.md file. Ideally, you can use the meta builder to build those specific skills. Yeah. Yeah, but I would say this is nice because the system also creates some specific scripts to run these specific processes if I really wanted to. So like those are actually not kind of agentic processes, but those are more like automated processes. Specifically in this case, personally, I don't want to have something like this, but I want something where I just give you the file itself, and then from the file you are able to actually come up and create the syntax on your own without having to rely on other tools and run like external LLM generation. So that is at least my idea for this part. Let me check on the onboarding part. Yeah, so as you saw over here, we have the different modes. So we have like mode 1, and then we have mode 2 about the form. We have different prompts. Can we have different modes related to also offers, ICPs, and different elements that we need to create as well? So yeah, the reason why I'm stressing this enough so much is so that we are able to create a proper skill that is like more powerful than that one I want to what I wanted to build at the beginning. So here there is also the other pipeline that we were building. So For campaign brief output, should it also capture lead sourcing direction, which pipeline used for leads, or keep it strictly to ICP selection angle plus copy mode? I personally think we can keep this specific skill. We can also include the lead sourcing within this specific skill if we wanted to, because like in the end, the idea is we have a one pager document, and that one pager document is essentially the document that we can use to review the campaign, let's say. So in there we have like the information about the campaign, the ICP, the angle that we take, the offering that we have, the high level understanding of the copy itself, the pipeline that we want to run, and then like what would be the personalization variables that we want to have. And yeah, sequence length, let's stick to 2. Okay, so we have a few review to do here. One important thing here that I notice is that so I had to spend a lot of time in actually mentioning that I want to use the meta builder. And so this is an example of what would be something that can be added to the Claude.md file. So by the way, I want to use the meta builder skills for this. Also, I want you to include this specifically into the Claude.md file. So right now, the Claude.md file has all sort of different folders and different things like that. This is not important. What we want to have within there are a set of principles. So the set of principles that we want to have is when creating skills, always use the meta builder skill at the user level, and then spawn sub agents when actually needed. And let's stick with those two principles for now. So yeah, this is like a side tangent on like system building, but I actually mentioned that because yeah, there is a problem here, and we need to fix this problem. And maybe I also did that in the wrong chat, but yeah, doesn't matter. Let me check on the plans here. We have the campaign builder. Again, use the meta builder skill to create a proper structuring. Okay, we have onboarding. Yeah, and so we created the different elements, and I like this version more. So right now we can run this and we can use this. So yeah, let's create this for client onboarding. Syntax, let's review the plan once again. Okay, why do we need the scripts over here? I think we can do everything without the scripts. Can you create modules if needed? Otherwise, I think we can possibly just use the skill.md file for this, use the meta builder in order to create this and update this. Okay, and this one started the creation part. So yeah, let's go forward with this. Now, yeah, give me a couple seconds so that I finish creating these three main pipelines to get started with. Okay, so in the meantime, we finished the creation, and I would like to show you something here. So one thing which is interesting over here, which I think could be interesting as well, is when we are building the client onboarding skill and when we are building the module, in here we have different modes, right? And we have this orchestration mode. Within this mode, essentially the system collects the input and then creates a new directory structure for that specific lead. It will also copy the different files as well as read the specific context files that we defined before for creating offers. And so in here, then it will actually execute client profile.md. And this is another module. So this is what I was talking about before when actually running specific processes in sequence. So in this way, the system is capable of running the first module. So the like when using a skill, the system ideally always will start from this skill.md file. After that, what will happen is the file will be read, and so in here we have the available operations, such as, like, for example, the full onboarding, client profile, and so on. And generally in here there's also like what are the context files that are actually needed, what is the directory structure, what are some quality checklists, and yeah, this is like the important thing about like actually creating a proper skill. So yeah, everything is created right now, and my idea right now is let's put everything to the test right now, and let's say that we want to start some test with and let's say that we want to start some test right now with a specific website. So let's search for lawyer in no, maybe like SEO agency in Miami, an example of who could be a client here. So let's take this website itself, take this, and then let's add this. Hey there, I'd like to onboard a new client. Here's the URL that I passed over. Help me out and let's run the full onboarding for the client. So in this way, we can actually test out that specific skill, the client onboarding skill. As you can see here, the skill is currently running. And yeah, will ask me like probably what is the mode, the different kind of mode. In the meantime, it will read all the different documents. It will scrape the website itself, and I think if the website cannot be scraped, it will find a different ways to actually scrape the website. Right now he's using API, but like you probably can use like different versions and different things. And yeah, let's see in a second what is the result looking like. Yeah, so starts the scraping with the internal scraping system for this company here. Like very broad offering in this specific case, so probably will be difficult to actually use the PVP system that we created before. But yeah, in the meantime, the system has this specific process that it runs every single time. Right now, we created that based on a ideal process, but keep in mind this can be fine-tuned in detail so that like every single document can be the specific set of document that you want. So like for example, here we have the modules related to the client profile. Right now I will generate the document and let's see what is the end result looking like in the end. Okay, so we have the first document created here. Yeah, so keep in mind also a really cool thing over here about this feature is that we embedded a feature where just from the website URL we can have all these different documents created. So probably this will not be perfect right now. One thing which is very cool on our side here is that we actually have this inferred part here, which is something that is added so that we actually verify this part on with the client. So keep in mind that all these documents that are created is not something that you need to take and see, okay, this is all correct and there's nothing for us to review, but it's always important for us to actually review the document that are created by the AI and make sure first off that the information that are present over there are actually relevant, are actually correct, and then secondly that the format that is present is the actual format that we want to have. So in this specific case, the format is like was created by here, but let's say that we want to have additional information other than this information over here, then is something that we would need to have. So yeah, in this case, we also have like buying trigger here. We have objections as well. We have exclusion criteria, lead sourcing notes. Okay, what is the best data sources for this ICP? Okay, so Google Maps, and then we have like Prospeo database. Okay, job titles by persona. So yeah, and now we have the first step. So this is the initial document, and then what we can do then after everything is created, And let me also check the offering because I haven't checked the offering. Okay, no single branded offer name. Okay, done for you digital marketing services. Okay, so neighbor level local SEO strategy. Okay. So yeah, keep in mind obviously this part is all based on general information that we have right now. Then the copy will be needed in order to like improve the messaging and create a proper messaging right now. So yeah, the next step for us will be, let's try to use the campaign building skill, and then let's see what is the output looking like. So I like to get started using the campaign building skill for our new client here, and well, I would like to design the first campaign for them. Can we start the process, please? Okay, so let's design this. Let's start with the initial structure. Also in here, like campaign builder was finished. In the meantime, what I wanted to talk about is the difference between different skills that we have. So we have skills that are like action based skills, and then we also have skills which are like knowledge based skills. So the action based skill is something such as like Prospeo, where what we need to do is we need to execute this skill in order to find a lead within a specific database. Meanwhile, a knowledge based skill is something such as the one that we created before, a client onboarding, where we gather context about different parts of the business, and then we produce some output documents. So right now, for example, we are running another knowledge-based skill, which is like the campaign structuring part, and our output document will be the actual document that we want to create. So let's review the output 1 second here. Client summary, digital marketing agency, full service digital marketing agency, done for you digital marketing, neighbor level SEO across 88 Miami zip code with bilingual optimization. Okay, yeah, this seems to be accurate. I think then the focus would mostly be Miami based companies to target. Yep. Let's focus on real estate. Okay, then it will help me out in understanding what could be an angle. So we have different angles that we could use. Okay, so let's use pane LED. Also here, our goal is to use all the context that we created in copywriting to actually work on creating like the actual messaging here. So yeah, I wanted to just re-mention that probably is something that it will go and it will need to create. Now we have the different options. So let's go unpersonalized to keep everything simple to get started with. Okay. Lead search in direction. We can do pipeline Google Maps. And then from Google Maps, I think we can actually find specific leads based on the website, I suppose. Yeah, so the goal would be to find the website and then from the website actually finding the leads using Prospeo, right? Why can't we start with Prospeo instead? Like over here, just asking a couple of questions, just making sure that we select the right pipeline. Yeah, over here, mention I suggested Google Maps because it catches smaller local firms that it might not well indexed. Yeah, I think we can get started with the Prospeo and then we can see what are the results looking like. Yeah. So this just initial campaign that we run. So as you can see here, what it does as well is it creates the campaign within the folder of the client. So if we go to the client here, we go to campaign, we have the folder itself with the campaign. Right now it creates the folder. And then the second point here will be the actual file for the campaign itself, which will be the copy file. So we have the brief, and let's look at the brief. Pain led messaging direction. Okay, here it mentions like 5 emails, probably like, okay, one small thing over here. I would focus on like 2 emails instead of like actually 5. I think that would be way better. Okay, so let's write the actual copy here. And yeah, as you can see, at this stage, the system will load the copywriting frameworks. So all the different frameworks, as well as the compliance context. I don't think personally is that needed here. So like maybe this is also where we understand what are some specific things that are actually needed within our system and not actually needed. So yeah, let's see. Describe the situation back to them. Quantify the impact with social proof. Close with a yes, no, quick reply. So first name Miami. Most Miami real estate firms I talk to are getting outranked on Google by Zillow and Realtor in the exact neighbors you sell in, meaning the leads that should be going to them are going to a portal and takes a cut instead. We recently have a Miami-based business go to page number 3 to the top Google Maps. Their inbound inquiries more than double in the first month. Okay. Like personally, I think those are like nice messages. Obviously, like selling SEO services and like different things like that is difficult. But like generally speaking, on the copywriting frame, I think like those are quite nice to have. So yeah, let's say okay, yeah, that works. Let's use those. Yeah, obviously, like those are not like the most perfect messages that you can. We created our own context about copywriting based on YouTube videos, just like and without any iteration. So yeah. Okay, one small thing about the copy itself: never use m dashes within the copy. Use normal dashes as well as commas instead, please. And also add this as a rule within the Claude.md. Over here is like this m dash is added into something that is like client facing. We don't want that. We want to remove that. And so what we are doing here is we are making sure that we are actually mentioning that in the Claude.md file. Okay, so we have the full sequence. Okay, that works. Please create that into a .md file. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, right now we have the first step of the system itself. I think we can also get started working on the second part of the system. So right now I would like to start working on the pipeline for database search. We want to include the data within Prospeo itself as a module. Okay, so we have the sequence readable. He also mentions us to have the SmartLead ready JSON. So let's say also yes on this. Okay, and now it's time to actually work on the pipeline version for Prospeo here. So let me check again on the campaigns here. Let me check on the brief. And let's test this out without using a skill so we can see whether this is actually needed or not. So I'd like to use the Prospeo skill to actually start lead searching for this client. Ideally, we can get anywhere between 200 to, yeah, let's get like for the sake of this example, let's use like 100 leads from Prospeo, emails of the specific kind of leads that this person wants. And yeah, let's do that. So yeah, I think we already have the Prospeo skill built out. Right now, the building of the skill is just like generalized. And so what we can do if we really wanted to is we can add the specific modules to the skill if we really wanted to, in order to like have, as I mentioned before, some nuisance on that specific skill. So right now the system actually had some problem in actually running. So let's let's actually see what is happening. And what it will also happen, as we saw before, is that the system is smart enough so that it will be able to change specific things and modify specific things. So yeah, let's see about that in a second. Okay, so yeah, the system also fixed Prospeo itself. Yeah, let's run the enrichment and get those 100 leads as well. So yeah, it will also run the process once again, and then let's see. I think also the beauty about having everything within Claude Code is this actual self-correcting loop that we have within the system, which is something that is not present within other tools such as Claude Cowork. In this way, you can actually run everything directly here, and you don't need to you don't need to like make it perfect. And once if it's not perfect, you cannot run everything. So in this instance, what we did right now is we actually run the bulk enrich. So okay, only 40 match with only verified email. Let me try the 60 unmatched, and then let's see if we can get an emails also of those persons as well. And so in that way we can also have the list of leads. So 40 leads with verified, 60 with verified. Okay, so I will also start getting pages from the current searches and then add the marketing titles from the brief itself. So yeah, the beauty about this kind of thing is it's very, very dynamic, as you see. So we started getting all the leads. And by the way, the leads are present here. So here are all the leads. Here are the the initial versions that we had about the leads. As you can see here, we have like this unavailable leads, but we can likely reuse those because we have the LinkedIn URL of those leads. So system is going forward over here, and let's check on this. It likely found all the leads, saving those leads in a final document. Yeah, as you can see here, we have used the credits to find those leads. So okay, great. Thank you so much. One small thing about that is if we add all the leads CSV files within this folder, it will likely be very crowded after a certain point. Can we create a local database that we can use, such as SQLite database for every single client, where we store the information about across every single client? I think that would be probably the best approach here, so that we don't have any kind of problem in storing leads from future clients, from different campaigns, and different things like that. So this is just like an additional thing that I was thinking about right now, because as you can see, we will have all these files over here. And so the idea will be, how do we remove that, and how do we create something that could be used for ourselves for every single client in a simple way. And so what we are using here is we are using a local database instead of those files. The system perfectly knows how to actually build use this database. Let me also do a check on this. And yeah, in this instance, in here, let's see. Okay, so in here he added all the different leads, and I think this is done so that we can actually access the leads directly from within the database, and we don't need to and we can use those leads across different clients if we really wanted to. So yeah, ideally, like, the position of this is good. Ideally, you can also have another kind of database such as Supabase if you really wanted to. But yeah, that is the possibility and the way it works. Okay, can you trash the leads report? Okay, was already done. Perfect. So right now, what do we have? We have the campaign, we have the leads, and one thing that was not done is linking the leads to the campaign. So this is something that we can add as an additional mode to Prospeo, for example. Either I'd like to do one change to the Prospeo skill. So when I give a brief, I want that in the end the system will be capable of actually adding to the brief what would be the specific command needed to extract those leads from the database and use those leads to get those leads. The idea here is that we will need to pass over some specific files in order to send the campaigns to the cold email platform. So we can do something like that. And help me do the planning, like quick planning on how we can structure that. I think that could be an additional module within Prospeo itself. And yeah, let's build that. So another important component here is the iteration level, because skills will not be perfect the first time, and you'll need to iterate on those in order to properly make those skills yours. So in this case, let's see what the system does, and then what we will do in the next step will just be actually using SmartLead to run the last part of the system. I think right now we have all the different things that we need. So what I like to build is I like to build an orchestrator skill that will go through the full process of campaign creation, getting the leads, and then adding those leads to SmartLead. Can we build that? Essentially, this skill will reference all the other skills. It will have different modes across the different stages that we need to run. So like for the first stage, it will ask whether we want to use that for a campaign that we already built or not. For Prospeo, it will check the database and check we'll check the database first, and then it will check for Prospeo, for example. I mean, probably like Prospeo isn't the best just a single skill. Probably we will need to have a higher level skill, but yeah, let's stick with Prospeo for now, and then finally we will use SmartLead to bring everything to the cold email sending tool. So yeah, let's create this final orchestration skill. We are adding this text export system to get the leads from this lead database that we built internally to have this as a reference for us. And then right now we are building the finalized skills, and this is the actual full pipeline skill that we can use in the end. Now in this video I went over like a bunch of different things on how to build a full pipeline for this specific set of companies. If in the future you like a specific other type of company and you like me to build that out live for you, happy to do that, and just send me a comment down here and I'll be happy to respond and give you back a response and a new video for that. Okay, we have now the final skill structure here for bringing everything together in a single place. This is essentially the skill that we'll call the other skills. This is what we can define as the single command that will run the full pipeline if you really wanted to. Now, this is something that I generally suggest clients to gate at each of the steps. And if we look at the plan, that is exactly what we are doing also here. But in some instances, we don't want that, and we maybe want to add a specific functionality where the full system is running completely autonomously. Right now, we will let everything go, and then what we will have in the end will actually be the full campaign orchestrator. And then with the campaign orchestrator, essentially we can run a new Claude Code session, and with that session, we can pass everything directly to SmartLead. Because on our side, we already built the campaign builder. We already built the syntax part. which is actually something that we haven't added to the system. But yeah, let me add that to the workspace and like to the campaign. Can you please syntax the campaign that is present within this folder over here? Thanks. Yep. So in this way, we add the syntax automatically. I think that the syntax should be added probably in the campaign builder and not like in the orchestrator. But yeah, that is like one single thing. Yeah, one cool thing about the orchestrator is that what it have is we have these different stages which we go through. Right now is like, okay, we have identify the client, we identify the campaign that we want, we detect the campaign state. So this is like also the beautiful thing. So if we already have some campaign state, we can actually run that autonomously. Yeah, we don't need to like rebuild from scratch, but we can go from what we already built. The campaign orchestrator right now is finished creating, so let's actually test that out. And let's actually use this, launch a full campaign for egochi. So yeah, let's try this. Okay, campaign orchestrator is what is using stage 0 pre-flight. So yeah, within this document we identify the client, read the context files, identify whether we have some specific campaign. Okay, existing campaign found. Let me check the remaining state artifact. So based on what is present within the campaign, it can actually define what we need to do next. So right now it checks, yeah, it checks the lead, checks SmartLead, list SmartLead. Okay, so here's the status. Okay, we have the leads in the database. Okay, let's create the SmartLead campaign, set the sequence, import the leads, and then have a pre-launch checklist as well. Okay, so yeah, let's run this. Okay, so the problem here seems that company names were not were missing at the database, and then we're missing in the CSV file that we have. Um, Use Prospeo to perform the same research again, and then also export the company names. Export the full information about the leads, not just first name, last name, but like full information, so that we have every single data point that we can later on reference if we wanted to. Yeah. So yeah, that is what I would personally do. So yeah, let's run this. The system took a few minutes to actually solve the problem of the campaign, the company name, sorry. And then right now we are going into the next steps. So creating the SmartLead campaign. So SmartLead campaign was creating, setting the email sequence on the campaign, importing the leads. So right now it's going through the importing the leads and then running the pre-launch checklist. So so the campaign orchestrator here finished everything, and right now he created the campaign, added the leads, and if we go to SmartLead and check the campaign, here we can see that the campaign was created, he added the list, he created the sequences. All the sequences, as you can see over here, are about are using the syntax. So if we change leads, different leads have different different formats. So that is that into account. Probably there could be additional things that could be added into the mix here, such as like fixing the company names, different things like that. But I wanted to give you a full overview of what it looks like to actually build out a complete end-to-end system for a specific set of businesses, and there you have it. We focused on building the context first, we focused on building the tools, and then finally understood and orchestrated the full pipeline. This is just an example, all based on data that I have available here. If you want to build your own personalized one, you can check the second link in the description, and then we can have a call together where we can plan that out and have an understanding of what this would look like for you and for your specific business. With that said, that's everything on my side. I hope you loved this video. It was very cool to make. Let me know if you like that. Subscribe, thumbs up. Talk soon. Bye bye.